Good afternoon. Today we are going to be reading through chapter 17 of Dracula by Bram Stoker. But we're not just going to be reading the words, we're going to be stopping and talking about interesting vocabulary words or interesting phrases as we read. So if you're learning English or if you're an advanced learner of English, this is a wonderful way to get a deeper understanding of new words or acquire new vocabulary. And also, we're doing this live. So if you're watching this with me right now, you can ask questions in the comments. What does this mean? What does that mean? In fact, I want you to do that. It's the whole point of this video. If you don't ask me, then I will just stop sometimes and explain words that I think you probably don't know, or words or phrases that might be useful to you. Also, recently, when we're finished reading the chapter, I've been having a couple of people join the video on Discord, and we've been practicing pronunciation and some of the vocabulary words that we learned while we were reading. So, if you want to improve your pronunciation, if you're interested in things like accentuation and intonation and saying whole phrases and reducing your accent, then I would encourage you to stay until the end when we practice, usually for about an hour. And there is a link to my Discord, so if you want to join the group, maybe one day we can practice together. All right, well, let's get started with Chapter 17 of Dracula. We arrived at the Berkeley Hotel. Van Helsing found a telegram waiting for him. "Am coming up by train, Jonathan, at Whitby. Important news. Mina Harker." The professor was delighted. "Oh, that wonderful Madame Mina," he said. "Pearl among women. She arrive, but I cannot stay. She must go to your house, friend John. You must meet her at the station. Telegraph her en route, so that she may be prepared." When the wire was dispatched, he had a cup of tea. Over it, he told me of a diary kept by Jonathan Harker when abroad, and gave me a typewritten copy of it, and also of Mrs. Harker's diary at Whitby. "Take these," he said, "and study them. When I have returned, you will be master of all the facts, and we can then better enter into our inquisition." We've seen that word inquisition before. You know, when you see that QU vowel, QUE, QUI, that's kind of the Latin version of WH. You know, we have what, when, why, where. But in Latin languages, they have QU. So when you see that QU plus a vowel, that always has something to do with a question. So an inquisition is like an investigation where they ask a lot of questions about things. Oh, bless my place. Okay. "Keep them safe, for there is in them much of treasure. You will need all of your faith, even you who have had such an experience as that of today. What is here told?" He laid his hand heavily and gravely on the packet of papers as he spoke. "May be the beginning of the end to you and me and many another, or it may sound like the knell of the undead who walk the earth." I'm pretty sure that knell has something to do with bells ringing, but let me just check the meaning of that word. It's the sound of a bell. Or it may be the knell of the undead who walk the earth. Read all, I pray you. with the open mind, and if you can add in any way to the story here, do so. Here told, do so. For it is important, it is all important. You have kept a diary of all these so strange things. Is it not so? Yes. Then we shall go through all these together when we meet. He then made ready for his departure and shortly drove off to Liverpool Street. I took my way to Paddington, where I arrived about 15 minutes before the train came in. The crowd melted away after the bustling fashion common to arrive. The crowd melted away after the bustling fashion common to arrival platforms, and I was beginning to feel uneasy, lest I might miss my guest. We've talked about the word lest several times. It seems to be a lot more popular than I realized. But it's like a signal that you're going to name something that you're afraid is going to happen. So here he's afraid he's going to miss the person he's looking for. He's not going to find the person he's looking for at the train station because it's so crowded there. I was beginning to feel uneasy because it was so crowded, lest I miss my guest. When a sweet-faced, dainty-looking girl stepped up to me. Dainty means like weak or delicate. And after a quick glance, said, "Dr. Seward, is it not?" "And you are Miss Harker? And you are Mrs. Harker?" I answered at once, whereupon she held out her hand. "I knew you from the description of the poor dear Lucy, but—" She stopped suddenly, and a quick blush overspread her face. The blush that rose to my own cheeks somehow set us both at ease, for it was a tacit answer to her own. I got her luggage, which included a typewriter, and we took the Underground to Fenchurch Street, after I had sent a wire to my housekeeper to have a sitting room and a bedroom prepared at once for Mrs. Harker. In due time, we arrived. She knew, of course, that the place was a lunatic asylum, but I could see that she was unable to repress the shudder, a shudder when we entered. Repress means to... What would be a good way of defining that? To keep something quiet. Let's see. That's not a good answer. Let me ask ChatGPT. But we've had the word shudder many times. You know, if you feel cold or afraid, you shake a little bit, you go, "Ooh, that's shuddering." She repressed a shudder. She wanted to shudder, but she stopped it. To hold something back, to hold back a thought, to want to say something but you don't, or to express a feeling but you don't. That's what repression is. She was unable to repress a shudder. She tried to control it, but she couldn't. She went, "Ooh." She told me that if she might, she would come presently to my study, as she had much to say. So here I am, finishing my entry in my phonograph diary whilst I await her. As yet, I have not had the chance of looking at the papers which Van Helsing left with me. Though they lie open before me, I must get her interested in something, so that I may have an opportunity of reading them. She does not know how precious time is, or what a task we have in hand. I must be careful not to frighten her. Here she is. Mina Harker's Journal, 29th of September. After I tidied myself. When you make something tidy, and that's a good word, tidy. It means to fix things, to make things look well taken care of. So imagine that she's been on a train for a long time. Maybe her hair is a little bit strange, or maybe her clothes don't look so good. So she can go into another room in front of a mirror and fix her hair, make it look nice and clean, and fix her clothes. That's tidying. After I had tidied myself, so after I fixed my hair and made myself look nice, I went down to Dr. Seward's study. At the door I paused a moment, for I thought I heard him talking with someone. As, however, he had pressed me to be quick, I knocked at the door, and on his calling out, "Come in," I entered. To my intense surprise, there was no one with him. He was quite alone, and on the table opposite him was what I knew at once from the description to be a phonograph. I had never seen one, and was much interested. "I hope I didn't keep you waiting," I said, "but I stayed at the door as I heard you talking and thought you were that there was someone with you." "Oh," he replied, "I was only entering my diary." "Your diary?" I asked him in surprise. "Yes," he answered, "I keep it in this." And he spoke. As he spoke, he laid his hand on the phonograph. I felt quite excited over it and blurted out. To blurt something out is to not be careful about your words, to have a very strong thought and just to say it. Usually, a lot of times you have thoughts that you don't say. Maybe it's too rude or too impolite or not the right time to say something. But when the words just come out of your mouth, you're blurting something out. So let's see what she said. "Why, this beats even shorthand. May I hear it say something?" So she's saying this is better than shorthand. Remember shorthand? That's like the secret writing of secretaries. Very quick writing. So maybe she uses blurted out because she was so excited to see the phonograph, and it could have been a little inappropriate to talk so in such a familiar way with a strange person. Maybe that's why she's saying it. "Certainly," he replied with alacrity, and stood up to put it in train for speaking. And then he paused, and a troubled look overspread his face. "Fact is," he began awkwardly, "I only keep my diary in it, and as it is almost entirely about my cases, it may be awkward. That is, he stopped and tried to help him out of his embarrassment. You helped to attend dear Lucy at the end. Let me hear how she died. For all that I know of her, I shall be very grateful. She was very, very dear to me." To my surprise, he answered with a horror-struck look on his face. "Tell you of her death? Not for the wide world." "Why not?" I asked, for some grave, terrible feeling was coming over me. We've seen the word grave being used many times here. It means serious. Again he paused, and I could see that he was trying to invent an excuse. At length he stammered out. To stammer is to talk like this. He stammered out, "You see, I do not know how to pick out any particular part of the diary." Even while he was speaking, an idea dawned upon him, and he said with unconscious simplicity, in a different voice, and with the naivete of a child, "That's quite true. Upon my honor. Honest Indian." I could not but smile, at which he grimaced. A grimace is a look of pain. Like, I can't do a grimace. Something like that. I could not smile. I could not but smile, so she couldn't prevent herself from smiling. And then he gave a face of pain. "I gave myself away that time," he said. "But do you know do you know that although I have kept a diary for months past, it never once struck me how I was going to find any particular part of it in case I wanted to look up. By this time my mind was made up that the diary of a doctor who attended Lucy might have something to add to the sum of our knowledge of that terrible being, and I said boldly, "Then, Dr. Seward, you had better let me copy it out for you on my typewriter." He grew to a positively deathly pallor and said, "No, no, no. For all the world I wouldn't let you know that terrible story." Then it was terrible. My intuition was right. For a moment, I thought, as my eyes ranged the room, unconsciously looking for something or some opportunity to aid me. They lit on a great batch of typewriting on the table. His eyes caught the look in mine, and without his thinking, followed their direction. As they saw the parcel, he realized my meaning. "You do not know me," I said. "When you have read those papers, my own diary and my husband's also, which I have typed, you will know me better. I have not faltered in giving every thought of my own heart in this cause, but of course you do not know me yet, and I must not expect you to trust me so far. Well, just to summarize, he's sitting at the table reading her diary and reading her husband's diary. And then she realizes that. She looks and she says, "Oh, he's reading my diary." And she's saying, "Okay, after you read through everything that my husband has experienced and everything that I have experienced, then maybe you'll be more open to the idea of allowing me to hear about Lucy's death." He's certainly a man of noble nature. Poor dear Lucy was right about him. He stood up and opened a large drawer in which were arranged in order a number of hollow cylinders of metal covered with dark wax, and said, "You're quite right. I did not trust you because I did not know you, but I know you now. Oh, Mohammed's here. Hello, Mohammed. How are you doing tonight? I know that Lucy told you of me. She told me of you too. May I make the only atonement in my power?" Atonement is like being forgiven. Why is he asking for forgiveness? Because he's saying, "I did not trust you because I did not know you, but I know you now, and let me say that I should have known you long ago. I know that Lucy told you of me. She told me of you too. May I make the only atonement in my power?" So he's saying, "I'm sorry I didn't trust you, but may I find a way for you to forgive me? I can only think of one way. Take the cylinders and hear them. The first half dozen of them are personal to me, and they will not horrify you, and then you will know me better. Dinner will by then be ready. In the meantime, I shall read over some of these documents, and shall be better able to understand certain things." He carried the phonograph himself up to my sitting room and adjusted it for me, and now I shall learn something pleasant, I'm sure, for it will tell me the other side of the true love episode, of which I know one side already. Dr. Seward's Diary, 29th of September. I was so absorbed in that wonderful diary of Jonathan Harker, and that other of his wife, that I let the time run out without thinking. I let the time run on without thinking. I don't know why I'm so fascinated with that word "on" meaning continue, but here we have running on meaning the time going by very quickly and continuing to go by very quickly. And now I've lost my place. Where am I? Oh, okay, Libby. Harker and that other of his wife, and I let the time run on without thinking. Mrs. Harker was not down when the maid came to announce dinner, so I said, "She is possibly tired." Let dinner wait an hour, and I went on with my work. I had just finished Mrs. Harker's diary when she came in, and she looked sweetly pretty, but very sad, and her eyes were flushed with crying. This somehow moved me much. Of late, I've had cause for tears, God knows, but the relief of them was denied me. And now the sight of those sweet eyes brightened my recent tears, went straight to my heart. So I said, as gently as I could, "I greatly fear I've distressed you." "Oh, no, not distressed me," she replied, "but I've been more touched than I could say by your grief. This is a wonderful machine, but it is cruelly true. It told me, in its very tones, the anguish of your heart. It was like a soul crying out to Almighty God. No one must hear them spoken ever again. See, I've tried to be useful. I've copied out the words on my typewriter, and none other need now hear your heartbeat as I did. No one need ever know, shall ever know," I said in a low voice. She laid her hand on mine and said very gravely, "Ah, but they must." "Must? But why?" I asked. I'm sorry, I'm just going to take a break, 1 minute break. I will be right back. All right, let's continue. Because it must be part of a terrible story, a part of poor Lucy's death, and all that led to it. Because in the struggle which we have before us to rid the earth of this terrible monster, we must have all the knowledge and all the help which we can get. I think that the cylinders which you gave me contained more than you intended me to know. But I can see that there are in your record many lights to this dark mystery. You will let me help, will you not? I know all up to a certain point, and I see already, though your diary only took me to 7th of September, how poor Lucy was beset, and how her terrible doom was being wrought out. Jonathan and I have been working day and night since Professor Van Helsing saw us. He has gone to Whitby to get more information, and he will be here tomorrow to help us. We need have no secrets amongst us. Working together and with absolute trust, we can surely be stronger than if some of us were in the dark. She looked at me so appealingly. To appeal is kind of like to beg. So if she's looking at him appealingly, she's like, please agree to this. And at the same time manifested such courage and resolution in her bearing that I gave in at once. To give in means to surrender. Okay. You're part of the group. I gave in. That I gave in at once to her wishes. You shall, I said, do as you like in the matter. God forgive me if I do wrong. There are terrible things yet to learn of, but if you have so far traveled on the road to poor Lucy's death, you will not be content, I know, to remain in the dark. Nay, the end, the very end, may give you a gleam of peace. Come, there's dinner. We must keep one another strong, for what is before us. We have a cruel and dreadful task, and when you've eaten, you shall learn the rest, and I shall answer any questions you ask, if there be anything which you do not understand, though it was apparent to us who were present. Mina Harker's Journal, 29th of September. After dinner, I came with Dr. Seward to his study. He brought back the phonograph from my room, and I took a chair and arranged the phonograph so that I could touch it without getting up, and showed me how to stop it in case I should want to pause. And then he very thoughtfully took a chair with his back to me, so that I might be as free as possible, and began to read. I put the forked metal to my ears and listened. When the terrible story of Lucy's death and all that followed was done, I lay back in my chair, powerless. Fortunately, I'm not of a fainting disposition. To have a disposition means to have like a tendency in your character. Some people have an angry disposition. That means they're always angry. And some people have a happy disposition, and that means they're always happy. It's part of their personality to be happy. And old-fashioned women, I don't think that you would see this too much now, but in the past, 100 or 150 years ago, and before then, a lot of women used to panic and faint. They would lose consciousness if they heard strong words, or if they were treated in a bad way, they would faint. And actually, well, let me just show you a picture. So Lucy is saying, or Mina's saying, thank goodness I don't have a fainting disposition. I'm not the kind of woman who does that. They actually, they have a piece of furniture. I just want to show you this because it's funny. They have a piece of furniture called a fainting couch. So that's the kind of couch where a woman can say, oh no, and then faint. It's a fainting couch. Okay. So Mina says, well, luckily I don't have a fainting disposition. I'm not that kind of a woman. Fortunately, I am not of a fainting disposition. When Dr. Seward saw me, he jumped up with a horrified exclamation and hurriedly taking a case bottle from the cupboard, gave me some brandy, which in a few minutes somewhat restored me. My brain was all in a whirl. Whirling is this motion. So if she says that her brain was in a whirl, it's kind of like her brain was in a storm. My brain was all in a whirl, and only that there came through all the multitude of horrors the holy ray of light that my dear Lucy was at last at peace. I do not think I could have borne it without making a scene. It was all so wild and mysterious and strange that if I had not known Jonathan's experience in Transylvania, I could not have believed. As it was, I didn't know what to believe, and so got out of my difficulty by attending to something else. I took the cover off my typewriter and said to Dr. Seward, "Let me write this all out now. We must be ready for Dr. Van Helsing when he comes. I have sent a telegram to Jonathan to come on here, and when he arrives in London from Whitby. In this matter, dates are everything, and I think that if we get all of our material ready, we have every item to put in chronological order, so we shall have done much. You tell me that Lord Godalming and Mr. Morris are coming too. Let us be able to tell them when they come." He accordingly set the phonograph at slow pace, and I began to typewrite from the beginning of the 17th cylinder. I used manifold, and so took 3 copies of the diary. You know that word manifold? That means like many pieces. You have many, fold, many. Fold is like a piece. And I think, I don't know how young you people are, but I'll show you something. I don't know if people still use this. I don't know when the last time I've even seen it. But it used to be before that if you wanted to copy something, there was special paper that you used. We call that carbon paper, carbon copies. So you put one sheet, and then you put one of these, and then you put the other sheet, and then when you write, whatever you write, you're making a copy from this paper. I've never heard it called manifold, but I'm pretty sure that's what it means based on the context, because she said I used manifold so that we made 3 copies. So she puts a piece of paper, and then the copying paper, then another sheet of paper, and then the copying paper, and then she writes. And then it goes through all of them. Pachu's here. Hello, Pachu. How are you doing this morning? You're up pretty early. I used manifold and so took 3 copies of the diary, just as I had done with the rest. It was late when I got through, but by the way, get through here means finish. So this sentence really means it was late when I finally finished. But she's saying when I got through, but that means finished. But Dr. Seward went about his work of going his round of patients, and when he had finished, he came back and sat near me reading, so that I did not feel too lonely whilst I worked. How good and thoughtful he is. The world seems full of good men, even if there are monsters in it. Pachi wrote down get through. But really, it's the word through that means finished. So, for example, you can say, I am through. So you could use the verb to be. And that means I'm finished. It's a very common way of saying that you're finished. I'm through. But, you can use get as a verb for changing states. Like, put on your sweater or you'll get cold, or take some food with you on your trip or you'll get hungry. Get means like changing from okay to hungry, changing from warm to cold. Don't go out if your hair is wet, you'll get sick. Changing health from healthy to sick. So here, get through means changing from not finished to finished. Before I left him, I remembered what Jonathan put in his diary of the professor's perturbation at reading. To be perturbed means to be annoyed, or a little bit angry, or a little bit upset. So the professor got upset because he read something in the newspaper. Let's figure out what it is. Before I left him, I remembered what Jonathan put in his diary of the professor's perturbation at reading something in the evening paper at the station at Exeter. So seeing that Dr. Seward keeps his newspapers, I borrowed the files of the Westminster Gazette and the Pall Mall Gazette and took them to my room. I remember how much the Daily Graph and the Whitby Gazette, of which I had made cuttings, had helped us to understand the terrible events at Whitby when Count Dracula landed. So, I shall look through the evening papers since then, and perhaps I shall get some new light. I'm not sleepy, and the work will help to keep me quiet. Dr. Seward's Diary, 30th of September. Mr. Harker arrived at 9 o'clock. He got his wife's wire just before starting. He is uncommonly clever, if one can judge from his face, and full of energy. If this journal be true, and judging by one's own wonderful experiences, it must be, he is also a man of great nerve. That going down to the vault a second time was a remarkable piece of daring. After reading his account of it, I was prepared to meet a good specimen of manhood, but hardly the quiet businesslike gentleman who came here today. Sirkan says listening to the phonograph through ear tubes and then transcribing on the typewriter was quite exhausting. I think it must have been exciting because that was new technology. When she heard about the phonograph, she was very excited to try it out. After lunch, Harker and his wife went back to their own room, and I passed a while ago. I heard the click of the typewriter. They're hard at it. Harker says that they're knitting together in chronological order every scrap of evidence they have. In case you don't know what knitting is, I'll just show you. It's being used in a sort of abstract way here, but first let me show you what knitting really means. This is knitting. So it's like something old ladies like to do. Well, I guess it's become popular for young ladies to do it, but it used to be something that old ladies like to do. They would make like scarves and hats and things like that. But knitting something together, it's like taking pieces and then sewing them together. That's kind of what they're meaning here. So it's like they have a puzzle and they're taking information from this place and information from that place, and then they're knitting it together to create a whole picture. I heard the click of a typewriter. They're hard at work. Mrs. Harker says that they're knitting together in chronological order. By the way, chronological means organized by time. When you see that chronos, that's a Greek word for time. And so when you see chrono with something, that usually has something to do with time. Chronological means organizing something by dates or by time. Mrs. Harker says that they're knitting together in chronological order every scrap of evidence they have. Harker has got the letters between the consignee of the boxes at Whitby and the carriers in London, who took charge of them. He's now reading his wife's transcript of my diary. I wonder what they make out of it. Here it is. Strange that it never struck me that the very next house might be the Count's hiding place. Goodness knows that we had enough clues from the conduct of the patient Renfield. The bundle of letters relating to the purchase of the house were with the transcript. Oh, if we had only had them earlier, we might have saved poor Lucy. Stop. That way madness lies. Harker has gone back and is again collecting material. He says that by dinner time they will be able to show a whole connected narrative. He thinks that in the meantime I should see Renfield, as hitherto he has been a sort of index to the coming and going of the Count. I hardly see this yet, but when I get at the dates, I suppose I shall. What a good thing that Mrs. Harker put my cylinders into type. We never could have found out the dates otherwise. I found Renfield sitting placidly in his room with his hands folded. Hands folded, that's kind of like this. Smiling, or maybe like this, but probably like that. Sircon says wax cylinders used by phonographs typically record 2 to 4 minutes of audio, and there are 17 of them. Wow, I didn't know that. I've seen pictures of the, well, just in case you don't know what's being talked about here. Let's show everybody what the wax cylinders look like. I've seen them, but I've never done anything with them or never operated one of those machines. So I had no idea. That's not a lot of time, really, 4 minutes. These are the very first record players, which are made out of wax, but you could record your voice into them. Cylinder means something that is round shaped, but it's like three-dimensional, like this. So you can see these. This is the player. This is before records. And you can see the round cylinders. Wait, here's a huge collection. Look at all those cylinders. Sircon says, me too. I never knew before. So how did you just look that up now? Did you just Google it? How much time can a cylinder hold? Pachu says benignly, well, Pachu, remember that we were talking about the word malicious or malignant? And that mal, when you see that mal, that means evil or bad. But when you see ben or bene, something like that, that always means good. So bene is the Latin word for good. I haven't seen that word yet. I think you're jumping ahead, Pachu. I don't remember that word. Let's see. I found Renfield sitting placidly in his room. Placid means peacefully, with his hands folded, smiling benignly. Okay, so he's smiling in a nice way, instead of a malicious way. It's a nice way that he's smiling. Pancho, you could see that word bene. That's like in bonus. The word bonus. Do you know that word? That comes from the same word. but there's benefit. Those are all good things. When you see that bene, that means good. At the moment, he seemed as sane as anyone I ever saw. I sat down and talked with him on a lot of subjects, all of which he treated naturally. He then, of his own accord, spoke of going home, a subject he has never mentioned to my knowledge during his sojourn here. In fact, he spoke quite confidently of getting his discharge at once. I believe that had I not had the chat with Harker and read the letters and the dates of his outbursts, I should have been prepared to sign for him after a brief time of observation. As it is, I'm darkly suspicious. So Renfield suddenly wants to go home. And the doctor is saying, well, you know, if I hadn't just read all of these things and learned all of these things, I might have considered it. But now that I know this, I'm very suspicious of what he wants to do. All those outbreaks were in some way linked with the proximity of the Count. What then does this absolute content mean? Can it be that his instinct is satisfied as to the vampire's ultimate triumph? Stay. He is himself zoophagus. I don't know if you say zoophagus or zoophagus. But that zo, that means animal, like going to the zoo. That's the place where you go to see the animals. And that phage or phage means eat. So somebody who eats animals. But I think, most people eat animals. But I think what he means by that are like animals you wouldn't expect, like the bird outside your window, or spiders, or cockroaches. Let's see, zoophagus. I'm asking ChatGPT, how do you pronounce that? Gus. So zoophagus is how you should pronounce it. Zoophagus. Oh, zoophagus. Zoophagus. Not like you'll ever have to use that word again. I think that's Greek. Where did it go? I believe that had I not had a chat with Harker and read the letters and the dates of his outbursts, I should have been prepared to sign for him after a brief time of observation. As it is, I'm darkly suspicious. All those outbreaks were in some way linked with the proximity of the Count. What then does this absolute content mean? Can it be that his instinct is satisfied as to the vampire's ultimate triumph? Stay. He himself, zoophagus, and in his wild ravings outside the chapel door of the deserted house, he always spoke of Master. This all seems confirmation of our idea. However, after a while I came away. My friend is just a little too sane at present to make it safe to probe him too deep. Probing is like sticking someone. If a doctor wants to see inside, maybe the doctor opens up the body and then sticks something in there to check, to look. So probing is like looking deep inside. And he's saying right now he's acting so good, I don't want to ask too many questions because then maybe he'll go crazy. So I don't want to probe him. He might begin to think, and then so I came away. I mistrust these quiet moods of his. So I've given the attendant a hint to look closely after him and to have a straight waistcoat ready in case of need. Jonathan Harker's journal. I'm sorry, I just have to take a 1-minute break. I'll be right back. Okay. 29th of September. In train to London. When I received Mr. Billington's courteous message that he would give me any information in his power, I thought it best to go down to Whitby and make on the spot such inquiries as I wanted. It was now my object to trace that horrid cargo of the Count's to its place in London. Later, we may be able to deal with it. Pacho's written the word waistcoat. You know, that's something that they say in the UK. I would call it a vest. In North America, you would call this a vest. But a waistcoat is this. But for me, I would just call that a vest. Mr. Billington had ready in his office all the papers concerning the consignment of boxes. It gave me almost a turn to see again one of the letters which I had seen on the Count's table before I knew of his diabolical plans. You know, that word diabolical, I think it comes from the same word as devil. So the devil is an evil person or an evil thing, and diabolical means evil. It means like the devil. Evil like the devil. Everything has been carefully thought out and done systematically and with precision. He seemed to have been prepared for every obstacle which might be placed by accident in the way of his intentions being carried out. To use an Americanism, he had taken no chances. I didn't know that that was an Americanism. And the absolute accuracy with which his instructions were fulfilled was simply the logical result of his care. I saw the invoice and took note of it. 50 cases of common earth to be used for experimental purposes. Also a copy of a letter to Carter Patterson. And the reply. Of both these I got copies. This was all the information Mr. Billington could give me. So I went down to the port and saw the coast guards, the customs officers, and the harbor master, who kindly put me in communication with the men who had actually received the boxes. Their tally was exact. A tally is like, it's like a sum. It's the same thing as a sum. So you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. So it's like the result of adding things together. Their tally was exact with the list, and they had nothing to add to the simple description. 50 cases of common earth, except that the boxes were main and mortal heavy, and the shifting them was dry work. One of them added that it was hard lines, that there wasn't any gentleman's, such like as like yourself, squire. These people, these are like dock workers, and the kind of language that they're using is a little bit weird. I don't really understand. I don't know how to explain main and mortal heavy. I just, that just means really heavy, but I get the idea, but I don't know why they're saying it like that. And shifting them was dry work. I don't know what dry work means, but I guess it means like hard work. One of them added that it was hard lines, that there wasn't any gentleman such as like yourself, squire, to show some sort of appreciation for their efforts in a liquid form. So they're saying they deserve, because it was such hard work to move those boxes, that they felt at the time they deserved a little tip, and they wanted that tip in the form of some alcohol to drink. They're saying it's too bad nobody like you was around when we were working to give us a little extra pay for our hard work. Another put in a rider that the thirst then generated was such that even the time which had elapsed had not completely allayed it. So now they're hinting, well, you're asking about these boxes. You must have some kind of connection to them. We still wouldn't mind a little something extra for all of our hard work. We're still suffering. Needless to add, I took care before leaving to lift forever and adequately this source of reproach. So he gave them some money to shut them up. 30th of September. The station master was good enough to give me a line to his old companion, the station master at King's Cross, so that when I arrived there in the morning, I was able to ask him about the arrival of the boxes. He too put me at once in communication with the proper officials, and I saw that their tally was correct. Again, tally, that's just like, it's another way of saying sum. So it's like you add things together, and the result is your tally. It's your math. The opportunities of acquiring an abnormal thirst had been here limited. A noble use of them had, however, been made, and again I was compelled to deal with the result in ex post facto manner. Ex post facto is a Latin phrase that just means after the fact. So again, when he went to these other people, they also complained that they deserve more money, and he gave them the money ex post facto, way after the fact that they did it. From thence I went to Carter Patterson's central office, where I met with the utmost courtesy. They looked up the transaction in their day book and letter book, and Pachu said ex post factor, not factor, facto, no R. They looked up the transaction in their day book and letter book, and at once telephoned to their King's Cross office for more details. By good fortune, the men who did the teaming were waiting for work, and the official at once sent for them over, sending also by one of them the way bill and all the papers connected with the delivery of the boxes at Carfax. Here again I found the tally agreeing exactly. The carrier's men were able to supplement the paucity of the written words with a few more details. There were, I shortly found, connected almost solely with the dusty nature of the job and the consequent thirst engendered in the operators on my affording an opportunity through the medium of the currency of the realm for the allaying at a later period this beneficial evil, one of the men remarked. So again, he goes to this third group of people, and again they're complaining that they deserve some money for all their hard work, and he gave them money to shut them up. And you can see the word beneficial, and there again you have that word bene, which means good. So a beneficial evil, that would be, because beneficial means that everybody, it's good for everyone, or it's a help to people. So it's an evil thing, it's a horrible thing, but at the same time it's a good thing. That would be like, what would be a beneficial evil? Well, let me ask ChatGPT, because it's kind of a contradiction. You have evil, then you have the word beneficial next to it. Let's see, give examples of beneficial evil. I'm just asking ChatGPT. For example, breaking the law to save someone's life. So that it's bad to break the law, but you had to do it to save someone's life. The evil part is breaking the law. The benefit is to help someone. Oh, you get the idea. And it wrote a lot of these things, but hopefully that makes sense. Pachu's asking about the word to allay. I'm not sure how to define that. I mean, I know the word, but I'm not sure how to explain it. So since I've got ChatGPT open, reduce, calm. That 'ere 'ouse, governor, is the rummiest I ever was in, blimey. But it ain't been touched since 100 years. There was dust that thick in the place that you might have slept on it without hurting your bones, and the place was that neglected that you might have smelled old Jerusalem in it. But the old chapel, that took the kike. That did. Me and my mate, we thought we wouldn't never get out quick enough. Lord, I wouldn't take less nor a quid a moment to stay there after dark. So the worker is saying that nobody's lived in that house for a very, very long time, maybe even 100 years. And you know that because there's a lot of dust, a very thick layer of dust on everything. But the most horrible thing was going to the chapel. A chapel is like a small church. And he said that was really scary. And he said they couldn't wait to leave. And he said, you couldn't pay me money. You couldn't pay me money to ever return to that place. Having been in the house, I could well believe him. But if he knew what I knew, he would, I think, have raised his terms. Of one thing I am now satisfied, that all those boxes which arrived at Whitby from Varna in the Demeter were safely deposited in the old chapel at Carfax. There should be 50 of them there, unless any have since been removed, as from Dr. Stewart's diary, I fear. Later, Mina and I have worked all day, and we have put all the papers in order. Mina Harker's journal, 30th of September. I'm so glad that I hardly know how to contain myself. It is, I suppose, the reaction from the haunting fear which I have had that this terrible affair and reopening of his old wound might act detrimentally on Jonathan. I saw him leave for Whitby with as brave a face as could, but I was sick with apprehension. The effort has, however, done him good. He was never so resolute, never so strong, never so full of volcanic energy as at present. It is just as that dear good Professor Van Helsing said, he is true grit, and he improves under the strain that would kill a weaker nature. He came back full of life and hope and determination. We've got everything in order for tonight. I feel myself quite wild with excitement. I suppose one ought to pity anything so hunted as the Count. That is just it. This thing is not human, not even a beast. To read Dr. Seward's account of poor Lucy's death and what followed is enough to dry up the springs of pity in one's heart. Later, Lord Godalming and Mr. Morris arrived earlier than we expected. Dr. Seward was out on business and had taken Jonathan with him, so I had to see them. It was to me a painful meeting, for it brought back all poor dear Lucy's hopes of only a few months ago. Of course, they had heard Lucy speak of me, and it seemed that Dr. Van Helsing, too, had been quite blowing my trumpet, as Mr. Morris expressed it. Poor fellows, neither of them is aware that I know all about the proposals they made to Lucy. They did not quite know what to say or do, as they were ignorant of the amount of my knowledge. So they had to keep on neutral subjects. However, I thought the matter over and came to the conclusion that the best thing I could do would be to post them on affairs right up to date. I knew from Dr. Seward's diary that they had been at Lucy's death, her real death, and that I need not fear to betray any secret before the time. So I told them, as well as I could, that I had read all the papers and diaries, and that my husband and I, having typewritten them, had finished putting them in order, and I gave them each a copy to read in the library. And when Lord Godalming got his and turned it over, "It does make a pretty good pile," he said. "Did you write all of this, Mrs. Harker?" Pachi is asking about blowing my trumpet. Wait, let's go back. It's kind of a joke. Where was that? I can't find it now. Blowing my trumpet. Okay, here it is. Of course, they had heard Lucy speak of me, and it seemed that Dr. Van Helsing, too, had been quite blowing my trumpet. There's an expression. I guess it's an American expression, because Mr. Morris is an American, and and Mina is not. Mina is British, and she says, as Mr. Morris expressed it, meaning as that American guy had said. And blowing your own horn. If you know, I don't know if you know what a horn is. Let me show you. A trumpet is a type of horn. Well, they don't really. Here's a good picture of a horn. This is a horn. And a trumpet is just a fancier horn. Let's see. This is more of a musical instrument than the other one. Well, so blowing your own horn in, at least in the US, I guess maybe they don't use it in the UK. I never thought about that, but that means like telling everybody how wonderful you are, or bragging or boasting about your talents or your abilities. So if you blow your own horn, you're telling everyone, "Oh, I'm so wonderful. I'm really good at this." That's what it means. So when it says that they were blowing her trumpet, that means that, because blowing is, so that means like playing the sound, playing the music. But that means they were saying wonderful things about her, how wonderful she is. So if we read this again, Dr. Seward was out on business and had taken Jonathan with him, so I had to see them. It was to me a painful meeting, for it brought back all poor dear Lucy's hopes of only a few months ago. Of course, they had heard Lucy speak of me, so Lucy, who was her good friend, was always talking about Mina. And it seemed to that Dr. Van Helsing, too, had been quite blowing my trumpet, meaning Lucy and Dr. Van Helsing were saying wonderful things about, they were talking about how wonderful Mina was, maybe how beautiful, how talented, how sweet, how nice. They were blowing her horn or blowing her trumpet. Pachi was asking about the word nodded. Nodding is when you agree with someone and you move your head like this. Indians don't do that. Indians go like this, which is very confusing because then it looks like they're saying no. We call that shaking your head. If you do this, that's shaking your head. And but when you agree, you move your head up and down. That's nodding. So that's like saying yes with your head. I forgot where we stopped. I knew from Dr. Seward's diary. Oh wait, we already read that. Okay. So I nodded and he went on. So I said yes with my head and he continued. He continued talking. I don't quite see the drift of it, but you people are all so good and kind and have been working so earnestly and so energetically that all I can do is to accept your ideas blindfold and try to help you. I've had one lesson already in accepting facts that should make a man humble to the last hour of his life. Besides, I know you loved my Lucy. He turned away and covered his face with his hands. I could hear the tears in his voice. Mr. Morris, with instinctive delicacy, just laid a hand for a moment on his shoulder and then walked quietly out of the room. There is something in a woman's nature that makes a man free to break down before her. We've talked about breakdown before. Pachu was complaining earlier this morning. I hate phrasal verbs. Why do they? Sometimes they're separable. Sometimes they're inseparable. Sometimes they mean this, and sometimes they mean that. Well, breakdown is one of those because breakdown it has a here what it means is losing your control of your emotions. Probably crying. So he says there's something in a woman's nature that makes a man free to break down before her, meaning men can feel comfortable crying in front of women. It's pretty much what it means. And express his feelings on the tender or emotional side without feeling it derogatory to his manhood. For when Lord Godalming found himself alone with me, he sat down on the sofa and gave way utterly and openly. So giving way, that means like removing all the obstacles. So he just started crying. I sat down beside him and took his hand. I hope he didn't think it forward of me, and that if he ever thinks of it afterwards, he never will have such a thought. There I wrong him. I know he never will. He's too true a gentleman. I said to him, for I could see that his heart was breaking, I loved dear Lucy. I know what she was to you, and what you were to her. She and I were like sisters, and I know she is gone. Will you not let me be like a sister to you in your trouble? I know what sorrows you've had, though I cannot measure the depth of them. If sympathy and pity can help in your affection, won't you let me be some little service for Lucy's sake? In an instant, the poor dear fellow was overwhelmed with grief. It seemed to me that all he had of late been suffering in silence found a vent at once. He grew quite hysterical, raising his open hands, beat his palms together with perfect agony and grief. He stood up and then sat down again, and the tears rained down his cheeks. I felt an infinite pity for him, and opened my arms unthinkingly with a sob. Sob is a very loud cry. With a sob, he laid his head on my shoulder and cried like a wearied child, whilst he shook with emotion. We women have something of the mother in us that makes us rise above smaller matters when the mother's spirit is invoked. I felt this big sorrowing man's head resting on me, and though it were as though it were that of a baby that some day may lie on my bosom. This is the bosom here. And I stroked his hair as though he were my own child. I never thought at the time how strange it all was. After a little bit, his sobs ceased. Pacho is asking about the word invoked. I would say that it's like the word call, but let me just check. I think bosom has a double S, Pachu. Where is it? Did they have it here? Oh, it's just one S. I always thought that had two S's. Oh well. Okay, yes, to invoke means to call. To call upon for assistance or support, to refer to or to cite, to bring into effect or operation. Where was that? I don't remember the word invoke. Oh. When women have something of the mother in us, we women have something of the mother in us that makes us rise before smaller matters when the mother spirit is invoked. So maybe a woman isn't always being a mother, but when that spirit is called from them, it's easy for them to find it. Does that make sense? When the mother's spirit is called. After a little bit, his sobs ceased. He raised himself with an apology, though he made no disguise of his emotion. He told me that for days and nights, past weary days and sleepless nights, he had been unable to speak with anyone, as a man must speak in his own time of sorrow. There was no woman whose sympathy could be given to him, or with whom, owing to the terrible circumstance with which his sorrow had surrounded, he could speak freely. I know now how I suffered, he said as he dried his eyes, but I do not even yet, and none other can ever know, how much your sweet sympathy has been to me today. I shall know better in time. And believe me, that though I am not ungrateful now, my gratitude will grow with my understanding. You will let me be like a brother, will you not, for all our lives, for dear Lucy's sake? For dear Lucy's sake, I said with clasped hands. Aye, and for your own sake, he added. For if a man's esteem and gratitude are ever worth the winning, you have won mine today. If ever the future should bring you to a time when you need a man's help, believe me, you will not call in vain. God grant that no such time may ever come to you to break the sunshine of your life. But if it should ever come, promise me that you will let me know. As I came along the corridor, I saw Mr. Morris looking out of a window. He turned as he heard my footsteps. How is Art? He said. Then noticing my red eyes, he went on. Ah, I see you've been comforting him. Poor old fellow, he needs it. No one but a woman can help a man when he is in trouble of the heart, and he had no one to comfort him. He bore his own trouble so bravely that my heart bled for him. I saw the manuscript in his hand, and I knew that when he read it, he would realize how much I knew. So I said to him, I wish I could comfort all who suffer from the heart. Will you let me be your friend, and will you come to me for comfort if you need it? You will know later why I speak. He said that I was in earnest, and stooping, took my hand, and raising it to his lips, kissed it. It seemed but poor comfort to so brave and unselfish a soul, and impulsively I bent over and kissed him. Tears rose in his eyes, and there was a momentary choking in his throat, and he said quite calmly, Little girl, you will never forget that true-hearted kindness, so long as you ever live. And then he went into the study to his friend. Little girl, the very words he had used to Lucy, and oh, but he proved himself a friend. All right, well, that was the end of Chapter 18, and Mohammed said hello earlier, and Pachu is here. So, do you want to practice pronunciation today? Let me know in the chat, Mohammed and Pachu. if they say yes, don't. If you want to practice pronunciation and intonation and accentuation, that's what we will be doing for the next hour. We will take a couple of the words, the vocabulary words that we talked about during the reading of this chapter, and we will practice with them. But the focus will be on pronunciation. Pachu says yes. Mohammed says yes. Okay. So I'm going to take a break, a 1 minute break, and then when I return, we will bring Pachu and Mohammed into the video, and we will practice some of the vocabulary words, but focusing on pronunciation. And if you ever want to practice, if you want to join us, there is a link in Discord. There's a link to my Discord server in the description. So I invite you to go there and join. I want to actually, I think that we can only do 2 people at a time, and Pachu and Mohammed have become my regulars. But I would like to also, I'm thinking about starting another video where I can give obviously we'll continue with this, so don't go away, Pachu or Mohammed. But I was thinking of starting a new type of video where, I don't know, maybe I read the news. I go to like Google News and read the news. And if you want to join me for 10 or 15 minutes, that way we can have different people. Well, it's just a suggestion that I've been thinking about, but let's see if we get any people who are interested in volunteering. And that way we can work with people with different accents and different levels of ability, and that would be fun. That would be interesting. Pancho says, I like that idea. We have to find more people. Okay. All right. So I'll just take a 1 minute break, and then when I return, we'll start with the next phase. Okay, we're back. Let me just switch over. I was off screen for a moment just organizing this so that we don't have to spend a lot of time with me copying and pasting things while you're waiting. Let me just make our vocabulary words very noticeable. We've got repress and tidy, and we have a phrasal verb, blurt out. Okay. So now I'm just going over to Discord. Let's see. Hello?
Hello, sir.
Hello, how are you doing today, Pachu?
I'm doing great.
Great. Oh, that's wonderful. And I know Mohammed's here. He hasn't joined us yet, but he said he would. So I guess he'll be coming here pretty soon, too.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Let's see. So, Pachu, what is the first word on our list today? What is that word?
Repress
When I say that word, repress, where is the accent? Is that on the first syllable or the second syllable? Repress.
second
Yeah. If you say repress, that means press again. But if you say repress, what does that mean? What is the definition of repress? Can you see it? Oh, Mohammed's here. Hi, Mohammed. How are you doing today?
Hi, how are you?
That's good. I'm fine. What Pachi? What does that word repress mean?
means to
Can you see the definition? Oh, maybe Pachu has disappeared. Mohammed, have you seen that word repress before?
Repress? No, I see depress.
Okay, well, depressed, that means feeling sad, right?
Yes,
But repress means, sometimes somebody has a feeling, uh, but maybe it's not a good time to express your feeling, so you hold it down. So maybe if you feel like crying, you wouldn't do that in front of people. So you would repress your crying. You would hold it down. Do you understand?
yes,
yes. Okay, yeah.
Or maybe if you're angry and you want to hit somebody, but you know that's a bad idea, so you repress it. You hold it down. Do you understand what that means? Repress.
Yes.
Pachu, can you read the sentence that we have up here with repress in it? What does it say?
He had to repress his anger when his friend made a mistake.
So which emotion does he feel but he's not expressing? He's holding it down.
His anger.
Anger, his anger. Can you read the first three words of that phrase, Pachu?
He had to repress.
Okay, just the first three.
He,
Just the first three.
he had to. He
Okay,
had to.
so I want us to kind of progress. So instead of me reading it, I want you to figure out what is the long sound in those three words. What would you say?
Is he?
It's funny because when you read it, I think that you read it the right way. Read it again, and you listen to yourself say it.
Okay. So he had. He had to.
Mm,
He had to.
So, which word is the biggest word in that phrase?
He. He.
Pronouns usually are not the big sounds. And it's funny because the way that you're saying it, maybe later go back and listen to this video again and listen to yourself say it because you're doing it. I think you're doing it. You're saying he had to. You're making had the long word, which is right. Usually pronouns are not. the word that you would focus on.
Okay.
Pronouns are substitution words. So usually when you use a pronoun like he or she, it's because you already know the person, right? You already know who we're talking about.
Yes, yes, yes,
So
yes, yes,
just by its nature, it's usually not something that you focus on. Does that make sense?
yes, yes, yes. I got it. Yeah,
He
yeah.
had to. He had to. Can you say it like that? He had to.
He had to.
Hmm.
He had to.
Instead of to, you can say duh. He had to.
He had to. He
Mhm.
had to.
Can you say that phrase, Muhammad? He had to.
He had to.
He had to. He had to. He had to.
He had to.
Hmm.
He had to.
Uh, Muhammad, can you read the next two words? So all five words together.
He had to repress his anger.
Okay, just up to the word his. So how will you combine all five of those words? How would you combine them?
Repress his.
Okay, so you take his and you sort of attach it. You attach it to the word in front of it, so it becomes represses, represses, repress.
Represses.
Hmm. What's the big sound in that phrase? He had to represses.
Represses.
Which one?
First one,
No, repress means press again. This is press. And if you say repress, that means press it again. But this is repress, which means holding down your feelings. So the accent is on press. Repress.
repress.
Repress. Repress.
Repress.
Represses.
Represses.
He had to represses.
He had to represses.
You hear that? We've got small, big, small, big. We had small. He had to represses.
He had to represses.
Mm-hmm. Pachu, can you say it?
He had to repress his.
He had to
He
repress.
had to.
Sorry, go ahead. Do it again.
He had to repress his
He had to represses. Okay. Pachu, what is the next word?
anger.
Now there are two vowel sounds or two syllables in that. Which one is the big one?
Anger.
Anger.
A-
So, go ahead. Sorry.
the first part is
Okay.
anger.
Anger. Anger. Okay, so we're developing a pretty nice big small big small big small pattern. He had to repress his anger.
He had to repress his anger.
Okay. Can you say that, Muhammad? He had to repress his anger.
He had to repress his anger.
Okay. What are the next three words, Muhammad?
When his friend.
Okay. Now, if you had to pick one word to make really big in that phrase, which one would it be?
Friend.
Okay. So when his, that becomes very small. When is friend.
When his friend.
He had to repress his anger when his friend.
He had to repress his anger when his friend.
Hmm. Can you say that, Pachu?
He had to repress his anger when his friend
Hmm. Okay, and Pachu, what are the final three words in this sentence?
is made a mistake.
Okay. Now, if you had to pick one word to make really big in that phrase, which word should it be?
The mistake.
Okay.
Miss.
Mistake. Mistake. Where's the big sound in that?
Mistake. Take.
Take.
take,
Take. Steak. Steak. We'll do all of this. We'll say steak. 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 So this becomes like one word. Medeme. 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 Uh-oh. Pachu, are you there?
yes, sir.
Medeme.
At, okay.
Can you say medeme? Medeme?
Ma- made a me,
Made,
made a me,
made a mistake.
made a mistake.
He had to repress his anger when his friend made a mistake.
He had to repress an anger when his friend made a mistake. Mistake.
Mistake. Mistake.
Mistake. Mistake.
He had to
Mistake.
try again. He had to repress his anger when his friend made a mistake.
He had to repress his anger when his friend made a mistake.
Muhammad, can you say the whole phrase?
He had to repress his anger when his friend made a mistake.
He had to repress his anger when his friend made a mistake. Say it again.
He had to repress his anger when his friend made a mistake.
Okay. Muhammad, how would you make a what he repress when friend make mistake question? How would you? That's a pretty complicated question. How would you make that?
What had he repressed when his friend made a mistake?
Okay. You know, that's I guess that would be possible, but it's not a very standard way of saying it. Can you think of a different way of asking that question?
What did he
hmm
have to repress when his friend made a mistake?
Say that again. What did he
What did he have to repress? He has to repress
have? It's have.
when have to repress
Mhm.
when his friend made a mistake.
So if
Make a
we
mistake.
when we do the first part of that phrase, what did he have to? We'll just look at that for a minute. What did he have to? What is the most important word?
Why we choose have instead of has?
Um, okay. Let me see if I can pull this up very quickly. Wait a minute. Because let's see, do I have it? Oh, I can't find it. Let me just look. Oh, here it is. Good. I found it. I'm just pulling up a different document here. Okay. Oh, does this have? All right. I'm going to have to find something else here. That's a good question, and I want to explain it to you, but I want to explain it to you in a way that's clear. So, let me see if I can just very quickly do something here. Oh, I can't. Okay. All right. Well, here, I'm just going to try to do this very quickly. Let me make sure that you can see this. Okay. All right. I'm just going to put different forms of the verb to have. So we have have and has, which is the present. Okay. And then we have had, which is the past. And then we have had again, which is the past participle. And I thought I had this in a place where I could just copy and paste it, but I don't, so I have to write it all out very quickly. And then we have to have, which we'll call the infinitive. Okay, and then we have one more, which is to have again. And we'll call this the simple form. And can I strike through this? Okay, I'm just going to gray this out because I don't know what else to do with it. Okay, let's make this small so it's all in one line. Okay, now I'm going to make these different colors. So let's see, we'll make this red, and we'll make this green. We can make this one blue. We'll make this one, how about orange or yellow, something like that. And we'll make this one purple. Okay. And can you see what I'm writing here? Make this a little bit smaller. So, all right. Let's see. He has a car. All right. Can you see what I've typed up here on the screen, Mohammed?
Yes.
Okay. He has a car. What is the verb in that sentence? He has a car.
Has.
Okay. What color is that? According to the chart that's right above there, what color it should has be? Is it red or
Number one.
okay, it's number one, so it's red. That's a kind of brownish. That's a bad color red that I'm using there. Okay. How will you make a yes/no question with "he has a car"?
Yes or no question.
Yes.
Did he has a car?
Okay. I'm just going to. Oh, why isn't it doing this?
Does he has a car?
Okay. I just want to put all the forms of do here, but I want to keep the same colors. All right. Okay. How can you? I'm sorry. Can you repeat that, please? How do you make a yes/no question?
Does he has a car?
Okay. Now, there is one mistake that you've made in making this question. You're right about does. Does is red. Does is red just like has is red. But when you're making a question with do, then the main verb, what is the principal verb in that? Does he has a car? Does is like a question word. But what is the principal or main verb?
Has.
Okay, that's right. But when you're making a question with do, then the main verb will always be purple. It will always be number 5. So we have, what is the number 5 form of have?
Have.
That's right. So it's like, I don't know if you can see this. Let me see. You see how I have the word
Yes.
to? See, the word to is there, but you don't use it's like to have, but no to. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's the simple form of the verb. So when you're making a question, how will you answer no to that? Does he have a car? No. Tell me no. No, he
Haven't.
no, he does not have. What color is does?
Red.
It's red. And what color is the main verb? What color is have?
Purple.
It's purple. It's number 5. When you have do plus a verb, that other verb will always be purple. It will always be in the number 5 form. And do can be it could be green or it could be red. Does that make sense? Is that pretty clear what the answer is?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the reason why. But I'm just taking the time to explain that to you because that's really hard for people to understand. It's very complicated to ask questions or make negatives in English. So it's useful to review that sometimes.
So when it's a verb, it's simple form.
Well, you have, I think one time we were talking about this column A, column B. Okay. Column A is the verb to be or modals like will, can, would, could, should, may, might, and sometimes have when it's an auxiliary verb. Okay. And the way you make questions or negatives in column A is very different from the way you make questions or negatives in column B. If you have a column B situation, that's all other verbs except the ones you see in column A, then you must use do to make your questions, and you must use do to make negatives. And when you use do, then that verb is always going to be in the simple form. It would be purple. It would be number 5. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's go back to our document here. Oh, okay. Now we said, what did he have to repress? What? So we have what did he have to? What, Mohammed? Can you say that phrase? What did he have to? What are the important words in that phrase?
What?
Is that?
What?
Go ahead. What about have to?
What did? What did he have to?
Is have to an important word also?
No.
I think it is here. I think it is. I think it would be, what did he have to? Or what did he have to? What did he have to? What did he have to repress? Or maybe not. You're right. We could maybe do repress. So make the question with what and repress being the important words. How would you say that?
What did he have to repress?
Yeah. So we've got, did he have to? That's just a little sound in the middle of the two important words. Did he have to? What did he have to repress? What did he have to repress?
What did he have to repress?
Okay. Pachu, can you make that question?
What did he have to repress?
What did he have to repress?
What did he have to repress?
Okay. And what is the answer, Pachu?
He had to repress his anger.
He had to repress his anger when his friend made
He
a.
had he had to repress his anger when his friend made a mistake.
Okay. All right. We've got to do intonation, but we had to talk about questions, so that's okay. We'll remember to do intonation on this one. Pachu, do you know this word tidy? That's a pretty common word. Have you seen?
Yes, tidy means clean, clean up.
Well,
Like
it doesn't really mean clean. It means more like organized or nice looking. So cleaning, that would be like washing the dirt, but tidying is like organizing, making everything look organized. Do you understand the difference?
yes, yes,
Okay.
organizing.
Can you read the sentence that I have written up here, the example sentence?
Okay. I need to tidy my room before guests arrive.
Okay, if we look at the first 4 words, How do you think you would say that? Which would be the big words? Which would be the words that you would want to pronounce very clearly?
Is it tidy
Only tidy, or is there any other word?
and need?
Okay. So how will you say the four words together?
I need to tidy.
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 Mohammed, can you say that?
I need to tidy.
I need to tidy. Have you seen that word before, tidy? Are you familiar with that word?
Yes.
Okay. Say that phrase again. I need to tidy.
I need a tidy.
Okay. And what are the next two words?
My room.
Do you think that either of those words should have a big sound?
Room.
Okay. So how will you say those words together? All of those words together.
I need a tidy my room.
I need to tidy my room. Say it again.
I need a tidy my room.
I need to tidy my room. Panchu, can you say that? Pachu? Pachu has disappeared into the land of mystery. Okay. Mohammed, can you read the phrase again, please?
Yes, sir.
Oh, Pachu is back. Okay, can you try to say the phrase? I need to tidy my room.
I need to tidy my room.
Okay. What about the next two words, Pachu? How do you think you should say those in connection with what we already have?
Before guests.
What do you think is the big word in that phrase?
Guests.
Okay. Before guests. That's a hard word to say. Guests.
Before guests.
Before guests. All right. So I need to tidy my room before guests.
I need to tidy my room before guests.
Can you say that, Mohammed? How will you say that?
I need a tidy my room before guest.
Okay. And what is that final word, Mohammed?
Arrive.
Arrive. Arrive. Where's
Ar-
the big sound in that word?
Arrive. This one.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't hear you.
First letter A. Arrive.
It's not arrive, but arrive.
Arrive. So it's I.
Yeah, it's the final sound. It's the final syllable that's big. So now we have our big small, big small, big small rhythm. I need to tidy my room before guests arrive.
I need to tidy my room before guests arrive.
Can you say that, Pachu? The entire phrase?
I need to tidy my room before guests arrive.
Okay, I need to tidy my room before guests arrive. Now, Pachu, how many phrases can we divide this sentence into, do you think?
Yes, it's true.
Two? Okay, what is the first phrase?
I need to tidy my room
Okay. All right. And then the second,
before.
go ahead.
Yeah, and second, before guests arrive.
And how should you like this to sound? Would you like this to sound happy or serious? Happy or serious?
As a happy.
Okay. So, what now in the first phrase, I need to tidy my room. What do you think is the most important word? Uh-oh, Pachu's gone. Well,
Yes, no,
go,
sir.
go ahead. Go ahead.
As a room.
Room, okay. So you want to sound happy. That means that we should say it in a high tone, right? But
Yes.
but this is the end of a phrase. So we should make the end of the phrase sound low, right?
Yes.
So how should you pronounce that? If you're starting the word high and then going low, how should it sound?
It's a room.
Room, room,
Room. Room.
room. And how should you start the phrase? What kind of tone should you start the phrase with? It should be, I think Pachu's disappeared again. It should be high because you almost always will start your phrase high. I need to tidy my room. Mohammed, can you say that, trying to pay attention to the tones?
I need to
I,
tidy my room.
You know, I found an app and I bought it. It was like $3 on at the Apple store. Let me see if I can find it. I forgot the name of it, but I thought, oh, maybe we should try to use this app when we're doing this. Let's see. I don't know if it will work. Uh, if it hears you. Wait, let's see. Uh-oh. How do I clear this? Because I thought that would be okay. Maybe next time, because I don't know how to erase this or see. Here, I'll show you though. I'm gonna play. I should have played with
Uh,
it earlier. I just thought about it right now. But so I bought this app that it will. Let's see. I need to tidy my room. Oh, it's not doing it right now.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
That's me testing it.
We're here.
Okay. Well, I'll play around with it. Next time we can use it, hopefully. Let's see.
what's the app name?
It was called Voice Analyst.
Voice analyst.
Yeah. And so that would just it would graphically show you if you're saying a high tone or a low tone as you're talking. It's helpful because it's hard to recognize the tones. That took me a while to. I still have a difficult time with it. It's not an easy thing to hear. Okay, but so I'll play around with that and then maybe we can try it next time. So, but let's just go by ear. I need to tidy my room.
It's a voice analyzer or analyst.
Let me check it again. Analyst voice. Here, I'll show you. Voice. It says. Here's the name. Voice analyst.
Yes, it's a logo green and the blue, right?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
It has a green logo with mixed with blue, right?
Yeah. Here, let me. Yeah, something like that. Here, I'll show you a picture of it from. Uh-oh. Try that again. Here. It looks like this. See that? Oh, I don't know if you can see that. Oh, I guess you can't see it. I don't know.
Yes, it has the
You can see it?
same chart. Yes.
Okay. Same logo. Yeah. So that can be helpful if you're having trouble figuring out the tones. Okay. Well, let's go back to this for now. But today we're doing it by ear. All right. So we have I need to tidy my room. Can you say that, Mohammed?
I see it. I need to. Can I see it on my screen?
It should be, if it's not up, it will be up in a moment. It should be up now.
Yes, it's up now.
I
I
need,
need to tidy my.
go ahead.
I need to tidy my room.
Can you say that, Pachu? I need to tidy my room.
I need to tidy my room.
Okay. Now, Mohammed, in the next phrase, what would you pick as the most important word?
Before guest arrive. A guest.
Usually, I think that it's possible. I mean, the problem with this is you could pick any of these words as the most important word, but it's almost always going to probably be the last word in the phrase. So,
Okay.
if you say before guests arrive, that's like, well, I don't care if it's my brother or my sister or my friends. It's only guests that I'm worried about. But if you say before guests arrive, that sounds like that's very neutral. That just means you're expecting people. Does that make sense what the difference is?
Yes.
So probably most of the time it's maybe a good rule if you don't have an adjective or an adverb, that probably it would be the last word of the phrase most of the time. Okay. So
Okay.
how do you want this to sound? Do you want this to sound happy or serious?
Happy.
Happy? Okay. So should we say this in a high tone or a low tone?
I too.
Okay, but we have a problem because we should try to finish our sentence in a low tone. So we'll have to go from high to low. Arrive, arrive,
Arrive.
arrive. So it goes up and then down.
Arrive.
Uh-huh. And how should we start the phrase? Should it start with a high tone or a low tone?
High tone.
Yeah, because most phrases will start with a high tone. Before guests arrive.
For guests arrive.
I need to tidy my room before guests arrive.
I need to tidy my room. For guests arrive.
Pachu, can you say the whole phrase? The whole.
I need to tidy before guests arrive.
Sorry, can you repeat that? I interrupted you.
I need to tidy my room before guests arrive.
I need to tidy my room before guests arrive.
I need to tidy my room before guests arrive.
Pachu, how would you make a when you should tidy your room question?
When do I need to tidy my room?
Okay. You can change it to should. Let's use should. When should. Oh, Pachu disappeared. Pachu has gone to tidy his room. Mohammed, can you make the question? When should. Or maybe.
Yeah.
Hello?
When
Hello, sir.
when should
Go ahead.
should he need to tidy his room?
Forget about need. Just when should he tidy his room?
When did he tidy his room?
Okay, but remember now, if you're using should, that's a modal. So that you don't use do as a question word. If you have a word like should, you don't have to use the word do.
I said when he needs.
Use should. How would you
And
make the question with should?
when should he need to
Oh,
tidy his room.
okay. You're saying need. Okay, I thought you said did. Okay, don't say need to. Just say when should he tidy his room. Let's keep it simple. When should he tidy his room?
When should he tidy his room?
Okay, now in that question, when should he? What is the most important word? When should he? What is your most important word?
When?
Okay,
When?
so how does the word when plus should plus he? How does that sound?
When should he?
When should he? When should he?
When should he?
Pachu, are you back from the land of mystery?
Yes,
Okay,
I don't know why my sound is disappearing
I
almost.
think it just happens sometimes. It's no big deal. So how will you say
Yes.
when should he? When should he?
When should we?
Okay, but
When should
don't forget to whistle. You have to whistle when you say should.
when sh- when should we?
Should he?
When should he? When should he?
When should he tidy his room?
When should he tidy room?
Tidy his room.
When should he tidy room? When should he tidy room?
Say tidy his room. Say each word. Tidy his room. Oh, Pachi's gone again. Mohammed, can you say tidy his room?
Tidy his room.
Tidy his room. Tidy his room.
Tidy his room.
When should he tidy his room? When should he tidy his room?
When he should tidy his room.
Oh, you have to use the question form. When should he? He should. Go ahead.
When should he tidy his room?
When should he tidy his room? Pachi, are you back? I thought I heard you for a moment.
Yes.
Okay, can you say the
Yes.
whole thing? When should he tidy his room?
When should he tidy his room?
Okay, and what is your answer? Say before guests arrive.
I need to tidy my.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
right. Use he. Say he needs to. Let's say he. He needs to.
He needs to tidy his room
Before.
before guests arrive.
Say the whole thing.
He needs to tidy his room before guests arrive.
Okay. Can you say the whole sentence again, Mohammed?
He needs to tidy his room before guests arrive.
Okay. He needs to tidy his room before guests arrive. All right. Let's take a look at the final sentence. This is a phrasal verb. Mohammed, have you ever seen the phrasal verb before? Blurt out.
No, never.
It's a pretty common phrasal verb. This is what sometimes you're thinking something. Sometimes you're thinking something, but you would never say it. Right? So you have something. Did you ever have that experience, Mohammed, where you have something in your head, but you would never say it?
Yes.
Right? And you have to control yourself not to say something. But sometimes you lose control and then you say it. And you think, oh no, what did I just do? Did you ever have that experience?
Yes.
This is blurting something out. So maybe you have a secret, a secret, and it's in your head, and you accidentally let it come out. You're blurting out a secret. It's a pretty common phrasal verb. Can you read does that make sense what the phrasal verb blurt out means?
Yes, I got it now.
It means letting the words escape from your mouth.
Oh,
Can you read the sentence?
okay.
What is the example that we have here? What does it say?
He blurted. He blurted out the secret in front of everyone without meaning to.
Okay. I just want to put 2 words up here. Can you see the 2 words that I have written under the sentence? Whoops. Do you see it?
Sacred and secret.
Okay. Now, number 1. Do you know that word, number 1?
Yes.
Okay.
Means rare.
It means what?
Rare.
It means holy. It means like from God.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But if I say that word very slowly, the first syllable, how many sounds do you hear? Sacred. Say.
3.
I think it's 2. Say.
Okay.
Say.
Say.
Yeah. Sacred.
Sacred.
Can you feel, because it sounds like you're saying it pretty nicely. Can you feel how your tongue sort of goes back when you say the E part? Sacred.
Sacred.
You feel
Yes.
you feel how your tongue goes back when you do that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, so if I say number 2, it's secret. So it's just that E sound. It starts with no pull and then you pull. So secret.
Secret.
Yeah. Secret. So you start with E with no tongue and then you pull your tongue back. Secret.
Secret.
That's very clear if you say it like that. How do you say number 1?
Sacred.
Sacred. It's 2 sounds. It's eh and then e. Sacred.
Sacred.
How do you say number 2?
Secret.
Secret. Pachu, can you say number?
Secret.
That's good. That's clear. If you say it like that, that would be very clear. Pachu, can you say number 1? Pachu, are you in the land? Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you say number 1? That's your favorite sound. That's just like great. It's the same
Yes.
sound.
The sacred.
Sacred. That was good. Can you say great?
Great.
Okay. But how do you say number 2?
Is a secret.
Okay, but it's not secret.
Secret.
It's not secret. It's secret. So you start with a simple E, C, but then you pull your tongue up. Secret. And it's long.
Secret.
That's good. How do you say number 1?
Sacred.
And how do you say number 2?
Secret.
Secret. Secret.
Secret.
Pachu, can you read the sentence? What is the sentence that we have written up here?
He blurted out.
Mm-hmm.
He blurted out the secret in front of everyone without meaning to.
Okay. What does that mean? He blurted out the secret. What does the phrasal verb blurt out mean?
Means he spoke or say something, but he should not have to say that.
It's like the
Yeah.
words escape
Finally,
from his mouth.
yes, he finally realized.
Yeah. Then he said, "Oh no, what did I just do? I'm so stupid." Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, Pachu, can you read the first 4 words?
He blurted out the
Okay. What do you notice is the big sound in those 4 words?
uh, he blurted out the is blurted.
Blurted. So the other words are very small. He blurted out the. He blurted out the.
He blurted out the
Uh-huh. He blurted out the. Muhammad, can you say that? He blurted out the.
He blurted out the
Okay. Now the next, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. What are the next 4 words, Muhammad?
uh, secret in front of
Okay. Secret in front of. What do you think is the big word in that phrase?
secret.
Secret. Okay. So, how do you think it would sound if you combine secret and in front of together?
Secret in
Se-
front of.
And a lot of times of just becomes and especially in North America, we don't like to pronounce T's at the end of words. So this is how I would say it: in fronta, in fronta, in fronta, in fronta,
In front.
in fronta.
In front.
hmm He blurted out the secret in front of.
He blurted out the secret in front of.
hmm Pachu, can you say that? He blurted out the secret in front of. Pachu, are you there? Pachu.
yes sir.
Okay. Can you say that? He blurted out the secret in front of.
He blurted out the secret in front of
Okay. What is the next word, Pachu?
everyone.
Okay. Is that a big word, do you think? Is that an important word in our phrase?
Yes,
Okay. And so where would you put all of the sound?
is every
Every. Every.
every.
So this is just the eh.
Yes,
I hear an echo when I'm talking now. Uh, he blurted out the secret in front of everyone.
he blurted out the secret in front of everyone.
Muhammad, can you say all of that? He blurted out the secret in front of everyone.
He blurted out the secret in front of everyone.
Okay. Now, if what do you think is the most important word in the final part of that phrase with the words that we have left? Which one is most important?
Meaning.
Meaning. Where's the big sound in that? Meaning. Which syllable has the big sound?
First.
Okay,
First.
the first one. Okay. Okay. So how do you think you would combine? How would it sound if you combine without plus meaning plus to? How does that sound?
Without meaning to.
Without meaning to.
Without meaning to.
He blurted out the secret in front of everyone without meaning to.
He blurted out the secret in front. He blurted out the secret in front of everyone without meaning to.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's how it sounds because you have to have that big, small, big, small, big, small rhythm. Pachu, can you read the entire sentence?
He blurted out the secret in front of everyone without meaning to.
Mm-hmm. He blurted out the secret in front of everyone without meaning to.
He blotted out the secret in front of everyone without meaning to.
Okay. Mohammed, how many phrases do you think we could divide this sentence into?
3.
What would be the first phrase?
It will end at the secret.
It's secret. Okay. What is the next phrase?
It end at everyone.
Okay. All right. Now in the first phrase, how do you want this to sound? Do you want this to sound happy or serious?
Happy.
Happy. Okay. So, what is the most important word in that phrase?
Secret.
Secret. Okay. So, if it's happy, should it be secret or secret?
Secret.
Secret.
Person.
Okay. And but we how do we have to end it? Because it's the end of the phrase. How does that have to sound? Should that also be high?
No, no.
Low. Okay. How should we start the phrase? Should the phrase start high or low?
Is high.
High. Okay. So we have he blurted out the secret. Pachu, can you say that? He blurted out the secret.
He blotted out the secret.
Muhammad, can you say that?
He blurted out the secret.
Okay. He blurted out the secret. Okay. And go ahead, say it again.
He blurted out the secret.
Okay, Pachu, in the next phrase, what is our most important word?
Is everyone.
Okay, everyone. Is this a happy or a serious sounding phrase?
Is happy.
Happy? Okay, so that you think it's funny that he blurted out the secret? All right, I'm just joking. It doesn't matter. But
Yes, let's
so it's fine.
make it
No, it's okay. It's fine.
serious.
No, I'm just joking. But
Okay.
so we're sounding happy. But
Yes.
how do we have to finish it? Do we also finish high or do we have to finish this low?
Is high.
Well, the word should finish low because it's the end of a phrase. So that's kind of a signal that you're finished with the phrase if you end it with a low tone. Okay. So you can start the
Yes.
word high. Everyone. Everyone.
Everyone.
Every
Everyone.
everyone. You hear that? So you start high, and then you finish one. You finish low.
Everyone.
Hmm.
Everyone.
But we have to start the phrase in a high way because usually a phrase will start with a high tone. In front of everyone.
In front of everyone.
He
In
blurted,
front of everyone.
he blurted out the secret in front of everyone.
He blotted out the secret in front of everyone.
Muhammad, can you say the entire phrase?
He blurted out the secret in front of everyone.
Okay. All right. And Muhammad, now in the final phrase, what is the most important word?
Meaning.
Meaning. And do you want to sound happy or serious when you say this phrase?
Happy.
Happy? Okay. So we'll start it high, but we'll have to finish low because it's the end of the phrase. We want to signal that we're done talking. So we finish kind of low. But we can start high because it's the beginning of a phrase, right? So without meaning to. Without meaning to.
Without meaning to.
Okay. He blurted out the secret in front of everyone without meaning to.
He blurted out the secret in front of everyone without meaning to.
Pachu, can you say the whole phrase?
He blurted out the secret in front of everyone without meaning to.
Okay. How will you, Pachu, can you make a what he blurt out question?
What did he blurt out the
Just out. Finish with out.
Why did he blurt out the secret
Go ahead. Uh-oh, Pachu's gone. Muhammad, can you make a what he blurt out question?
What did he blurt out
Mm-hmm.
in front of everyone?
Yeah, you could add that if you want. You can say in front of everyone. So, how does what plus did plus he? How does that sound?
Sorry.
How does that sound if you say what plus did plus he?
What what did he
What
blurt out?
what did he? What did he? What did he?
What did he?
Yeah, because what that's an important word, but did he that's nothing. What did he
What did he
blurt out?
blurt out?
Hmm. What did he blurt out?
What did he blur out?
What did he blurt out in front of everyone?
What did he blurt out in front of everyone?
Pacho, are you back?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And can you make that? How will you make that question? What did he blurt out?
What did he blurt out?
What did he blurt out in front of everyone?
Why did he blurt out in front of everyone?
Okay. What is the answer, Pachu?
He blurted out the secret in front of everyone.
Okay. Mohammed, what did he blurt out in front of everyone?
Blurted out the secret in front of everyone. In front of everyone.
He blurted out the secret in front of everyone. He blurted out the secret in front of everyone.
Blurted out the secret in front of everyone.
Okay. All right. So I think we'll finish here for today. And in
Okay.
about, 10 hours, I will be doing Gone with the Wind if you want to join me then. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay.
So I'll see you in a little bit. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for your questions and comments. I hope you come back when we continue. And good night. Okay. Bye bye.
Bye
Good
bye.
night.
Bye bye, sir.